My toxic ex befriended every guy I dated to, warned them about me until I started dating his coke dealer. My name is Madison, and I'm 27 years old. I'm telling you this story because I need to get it out, and honestly, I still can't believe it happened the way it did. So let me start by saying that my ex, Tyler, wasn't always a nightmare. When we met 5 years ago, he was charming, like really charming. The kind of guy who remembered your coffee order and showed up with it on random Tuesdays. We dated for 2 years, and for the first year, everything felt perfect. Then things started falling apart. I won't bore you with all the details of how our relationship ended, but let's just say Tyler had a problem with control. He needed to know where I was, who I was with, what I was doing every second of every day. When I finally broke up with him, he didn't take it well, at all. The breakup was 3 years ago. 3 whole years. You'd think after 3 years, someone would move on. Get a life. Find someone new. Not Tyler. Tyler made it his personal mission to destroy every relationship I tried to have after him. I didn't realize what he was doing at first. I just thought I had terrible luck with guys. My first boyfriend after Tyler was this sweet guy named Marcus. We met at a coffee shop where I was working part-time while finishing my degree. Marcus was a graphic designer, really creative, super kind. We dated for about 2 months, and things were going great. Then suddenly, Marcus got weird, distant, started asking me strange questions about my past, about whether I'd ever cheated on anyone, about whether I had anger issues. I was confused because none of that was true. I'd never cheated on anyone in my life, and I'm probably the least confrontational person you'll ever meet. I avoid conflict like it's my job. When Marcus finally broke up with me, he was vague about it, said something about how we weren't compatible, that he'd learned some things about me that concerned him. I was heartbroken, but figured maybe we just weren't meant to be. Then it happened again. With Daniel. Daniel was a teacher I met through mutual friends. We hit it off immediately. He was funny and smart and loved hiking, which I'd just gotten into. We dated for 3 months. Everything was amazing. Then just like with Marcus, he started acting strange, asking weird questions, getting distant. When Daniel broke up with me, I demanded to know why. That's when he finally told me. I ran into your ex, he said. Tyler. He reached out to me on social media. He told me some things about you that I can't ignore. I felt my blood run cold. What things? Daniel looked uncomfortable. He said you were emotionally unstable, that you'd threatened to hurt yourself when he tried to break up with you, that you stalked him for months after the breakup, that you destroyed his property. I couldn't breathe. None of that was true. Not a single word. That's not true, I said. None of that happened. He's lying. But I could see in Daniel's eyes that he didn't believe me, or at least he wasn't sure. And that uncertainty was enough to kill whatever we had. That's when I realized what Tyler was doing. He was systematically finding every guy I dated and poisoning them against me. I confronted Tyler, called him up and told him I knew what he was doing. You know what he said? He laughed. Actually laughed. I'm just looking out for them, he said, making sure they know what they're getting into. It's not my fault if the truth scares them away. I told him to stay out of my life, threatened to get a restraining order, but he didn't break any laws. He was just reaching out to people, being friendly, warning them about his crazy ex-girlfriend. The worst part was that it kept working. After Daniel, there was Jason. Tyler got to him too. Then Chris, then Ryan. Every single guy I tried to date, Tyler would find them on social media within weeks. He'd send them a friend request, strike up a conversation, eventually work his way around to talking about me, about how concerned he was that they were dating someone so troubled. I started to give up on dating entirely. What was the point? Tyler had made it his life's mission to sabotage me, and he was good at it. He was charming, remember? He knew how to make himself seem like the concerned, protective ex who just wanted to help. My friends told me to ignore it, to keep dating, that eventually I'd meet someone who wouldn't believe Tyler's lies. But after the 5th guy, I was exhausted, heartbroken, humiliated. So I stopped dating. For almost a year, I didn't even try. I threw myself into my work. I'd graduated and gotten a job at a marketing firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and kept me busy. I hung out with my friends, went to yoga classes, adopted a cat named Pepper. I convinced myself I was happy being single. Then I met Ethan. I met Ethan at a concert. My friend Amber dragged me out because her favorite band was playing at this small venue downtown, and she didn't want to go alone. I wasn't even planning on talking to anyone. I was just there to support Amber and listen to music. But during the opening act, this guy next to me offered to buy me a drink. Ethan was not my usual type at all. He had tattoos covering both arms, multiple piercings, and this intense energy that was kind of intimidating at first. But when he smiled, his whole face changed. He had these bright green eyes and this laugh that made you want to laugh too. We talked all night, not just at the concert, but after. We ended up at this diner at 2 in the morning, eating pancakes and talking about everything. He was easy to talk to, funny, different from anyone I'd ever dated. He told me he worked in entertainment logistics, which I later learned was a fancy way of saying he threw parties and organized events. Big ones, apparently. He knew everyone in the city's nightlife scene. We exchanged numbers and he texted me the next day. We went on a date, then another. For the first time in forever, I felt happy, excited about someone. Ethan was unpredictable in the best way. He'd show up at my apartment at midnight and convince me to go on a drive to the beach. He'd send me flowers at work for no reason. He made me feel alive. I didn't tell him about Tyler right away. I was too scared, too worried that even mentioning my psycho ex would somehow jinx things. But about a month into dating Ethan, I knew I had to warn him, because Tyler always found out eventually, and I didn't want Ethan to be blindsided. So one night, over dinner at his apartment, I told him everything. About Tyler, about what he'd been doing for the past 2 years, about how he'd sabotaged every relationship I'd tried to have. Ethan listened quietly. immediately, his expression unreadable. When I finished, I braced myself for him to freak out, to decide I wasn't worth the drama. Instead, he laughed, not in a mean way, in this kind of amazed, disbelieving way. "That's insane," he said. "Your ex is actually insane." "I know," I said, "and he's probably going to try to contact you eventually. I just wanted you to know ahead of time so you don't believe whatever he says." Ethan reached across the table and took my hand. "Madison, I don't care what some random guy says about you. I like you a lot, and if this Tyler dude tries to come at me with some nonsense, I'll just ignore him." I felt this rush of relief. Maybe Ethan would be different. Maybe he'd be the one who didn't let Tyler get in his head. I should have known it wouldn't be that simple. About 2 weeks later, Ethan mentioned something casual over text. "Hey, weird question, but do you know a Tyler Bennett?" My heart sank. "He found you," I texted back. "Yeah, he sent me a friend request on Instagram. Started messaging me. Seems like a real piece of work." I called Ethan immediately. "What did he say?" "The usual stuff, I guess. That you're his ex. That he's concerned about me. That you have some issues I should know about. And I told him to back off," Ethan said. His voice was calm. "I told him I didn't want to hear it and to leave me alone." "Did he stop?" "Not exactly. He sent a few more messages. But I blocked him." I felt this mix of relief and anxiety. Tyler had never been blocked before. The other guys had listened to him, had let him plant seeds of doubt. But Ethan had shut him down immediately. "Thank you," I said, "for believing me." "Of course," Ethan said. "This guy sounds like a stalker. You should probably look into getting a restraining order or something." I told him I'd thought about it, but it was complicated. Tyler was careful. He never threatened anyone. He never harassed me directly. He just reached out to people in my life. It was creepy, but not technically illegal. For a few weeks, things were fine. Ethan and I kept dating. I started to relax, started to think that maybe Tyler had finally given up. Then one night, Ethan told me we needed to talk. We were at my apartment. I'd made dinner and we were sitting on my couch. The second he said those words, my stomach dropped. "Did Tyler contact you again?" I asked. "No," Ethan said. He looked uncomfortable. "It's not about Tyler. Well, not directly. What is it?" Ethan took a deep breath. "There's something I need to tell you. About what I do for work." I frowned. "You plan parties." "Yeah, but that's not all of it." He ran a hand through his hair. "The events I throw, the parties, they're not exactly legal. I mean, the venues are legal, but what happens at them isn't always above board." I stared at him. "What does that mean?" "It means I deal," he said quietly. "Not at the parties, but that's how I know most of my clients. I supply people with party supplies." It took me a second to understand what he was saying. When I did, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "You're a dealer," I said. "Yeah, like substances." "Yeah." I didn't know what to say. I'd never dated anyone who did anything like that. I barely even drank. The hardest thing I'd ever tried was some edible at Amber's birthday party that made me paranoid and sleepy. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Because I like you," Ethan said, "and I don't want there to be secrets between us. I know it's not ideal, but it's how I make money. I'm good at it, and it pays really well. But I understand if this is a deal breaker for you. I should have ended it right there. I know that. It was the smart thing to do, but I didn't. Maybe I was tired of Tyler winning, tired of letting him control my life. Or maybe I just started to really care about Ethan, and I didn't want to lose him over something that felt abstract and distant from my actual life. I need some time to think about this," I told him. "Of course," he said. He left that night, and I spent hours staring at my ceiling, trying to figure out what to do. The next day, I talked to Amber about it. She was the only friend I trusted enough to tell. "Are you serious right now?" she said. "Madison, you cannot date someone who deals substances. That's insane." "I know," I said, "but he's been so good to me, and he's honest. He didn't have to tell me. He told you because he had to," Amber said. "Because eventually you would have found out. This is not some romantic honesty thing. This is him covering his butt." She was probably right, but I didn't want her to be. "What if I just see where it goes?" I said. "It's not like he's dangerous. He's just a businessman who happens to have an unconventional business." Amber looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "Listen to yourself. You're making excuses for someone who could get arrested at any moment. Who could get you arrested just for being around him?" That part hadn't occurred to me. The legal ramifications of dating someone like Ethan. But then I thought about Tyler, about how he'd spent years making sure I couldn't be happy with anyone, about how Ethan was the first person who'd stood up to him, who'd chosen me over Tyler's lies. "I'm going to keep seeing him," I said. Amber sighed. "Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. I kept dating Ethan, and honestly, for a while, everything was great. Better than great. He was sweet and attentive and never made me feel like his work was more important than me. We fell into this comfortable rhythm. I'd spend weekends at his place. He'd cook for me. We'd watch movies and talk about our days. I tried not to think too hard about what he did for work, about the people he sold to, about the risks he was taking. Then, about 3 months into our relationship, something weird happened. I was at Ethan's apartment waiting for him to get home from a meeting. I was on his couch, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a knock at the door. I figured it was a delivery or maybe one of Ethan's friends, so I opened it. Tyler was standing there. I froze. Completely froze. "Madison," Tyler said. He looked shocked to see me. "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" I shot back. "I'm here to see Ethan," he said. My brain couldn't process what was happening. "How do you know Ethan?" Tyler's expression shifted. He looked confused. Then understanding dawned on his face and he smiled. That same smug smile I used to love and now hated. "Oh," he said. "Oh, this is perfect. What are you talking about?" "Ethan is my dealer," Tyler said. "Has been for about a year. I had no idea he was dating you." This is hilarious. I felt sick. Actually sick. Before I could respond, Ethan appeared in the hallway behind Tyler. He was carrying a takeout bag from our favorite Thai place. When he saw both of us standing there, his face went pale. "What's going on?" Ethan asked. "You're Tyler's dealer?" I said. My voice came out strangled. strangled. Ethan looked between us. You two know each other? She's my ex, Tyler said cheerfully, the one I told you about. Small world, huh? Ethan's expression hardened. You need to leave, man. I'm here to pick up, Tyler said. We had an appointment. I don't care, leave. Tyler held up his hands. Whoa, okay. Didn't mean to cause drama. But hey, Madison, good luck with this one. Seems like you really upgraded from me. The sarcasm in his voice was thick. He was loving this. Loving the fact that he'd somehow inserted himself into my life again. Ethan stepped forward. Leave. Now. Or I'm calling someone who will make you leave. Tyler finally left, still smiling that infuriating smile. When the door closed, I turned to Ethan. Tyler is your client? Was, Ethan said. I'm done with him. For how long? How long have you been selling to him? About a year? Maybe a little more. Ethan set the food down on the counter. I didn't know who he was, Madison. I had no idea he was your ex until just now. Did you tell him about me? I asked. When you first started dating me, did you mention it to him? No, Ethan said. I don't talk to my clients about my personal life. That's rule number one. I believed him, but it didn't make the situation any less awful. Tyler now knew I was dating Ethan. And worse, Ethan had been selling to Tyler for over a year. The same Tyler who'd been systematically ruining my life. I sat down on the couch. My hands were shaking. I need you to cut him off completely, I said. No more selling to him. No more contact. Already done, Ethan said. I meant what I said. I'm done with him. He's not going to let this go, I said. You don't know him like I do. He's going to use this. He's going to find some way to make this worse. Ethan sat down next to me. Let him try. I'm not scared of some entitled jerk who can't let go of his ex, but I was scared because I knew Tyler, and I knew he was already plotting something. I was right to be scared. Over the next few weeks, Tyler started calling me, texting me, showing up at places he knew I'd be. My favorite coffee shop, the yoga studio, the grocery store near my apartment. He wasn't threatening. That was the thing. He was never overtly threatening. He'd just smile and wave, make small talk, ask how I was doing, how Ethan was doing. It was psychological warfare. I told Ethan about it and he offered to handle it, but I knew that would only make things worse. Tyler wanted a reaction. He wanted drama. He wanted to get under my skin, so I tried to ignore it. Tried to go about my life like Tyler wasn't lurking in the background. Then Tyler escalated. He started posting on social media about me. Not directly, but in this obvious passive-aggressive way. Posts about toxic people. About exes who refuse to take accountability. About how some people never change. My friends noticed. Started asking me about it. I had to explain the whole situation over and over again. It was humiliating. But the worst part came when Tyler started messaging Ethan's friends, his business associates, people in his network. He told them that Ethan was dating his ex, that I was bad news, that I had a history of causing problems, that Ethan should be careful. It was exactly what he'd done to all my previous boyfriends, but now he was doing it to Ethan's entire social circle. Ethan started losing clients. People who'd worked with him for years suddenly stopped calling, stopped placing orders. He didn't tell me at first, but I could tell something was wrong. He was stressed, distracted, worried about money. When I finally got it out of him, I was devastated. This is my fault, I said. Tyler is doing this because of me. It's not your fault, Ethan said. It's his fault. He's the one choosing to be a psycho, but I felt responsible. Tyler was destroying Ethan's livelihood because Ethan had refused to listen to his lies about me. I decided I needed to confront Tyler again. Face to face, I called him and asked to meet. He sounded surprised but agreed immediately. We met at a neutral location, a park near downtown. Tyler showed up looking smug, like he'd already won. What do you want, Madison? He asked. I want you to stop, I said. Stop contacting Ethan's friends. Stop posting about me. Stop showing up everywhere I go. Just leave me alone. I'm not doing anything wrong, Tyler said. I'm just exercising my free speech. I'm allowed to post what I want on my own social media. I'm allowed to talk to my friends. Ethan's friends aren't your friends, I said. You're deliberately sabotaging his business, Tyler shrugged. Not my problem if people don't want to work with someone who has bad judgment. Why are you doing this? I asked. It's been 3 years, Tyler, 3 years. Why can't you just move on? For the first time, Tyler's expression shifted. Something darker flickered across his face. Because you embarrassed me, he said. When you left me, you made me look like a fool, like I wasn't good enough. Everyone knew you dumped me. Everyone knew I couldn't keep you happy. So this is about your ego? This is about respect, Tyler said. You don't get to just walk away from me and move on like I didn't matter. Like those 2 years meant nothing. They did matter, I said, but they're over. You need to accept that, Tyler laughed. That cold, humorless laugh. I'll accept it when you understand what it feels like to lose something you care about over and over again. The way you made me feel. That's when I realized Tyler wasn't just obsessed with me. He was genuinely unwell. He'd built this entire narrative in his head where I was the villain and he was the victim, and nothing I said would change that. I left the park feeling hopeless. Tyler wasn't going to stop, and as long as I was with Ethan, he was going to keep destroying Ethan's life. That night, I told Ethan we should break up. No, he said immediately. Ethan, he's ruining your business. You're losing money because of me. I don't care about the money, Ethan said. You should care. This is your livelihood. I'll figure it out, Ethan said. I'm not letting him win. I'm not letting him drive you away. I started crying. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of Tyler controlling everything. Of him always being there, always watching, always waiting to destroy anything good in my life. Ethan pulled me close. Then we need to find a way to stop him. For good. How? I asked. I've tried everything. Confronting him, ignoring him, threatening legal action. Nothing works. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, what if we give him what he wants? I pulled back to look at him. What? What if we let him think he's won? Let him think he's successfully driven us apart. Then he'll back off. And once he's backed off, we can figure out our next move. I I didn't love the idea of pretending to break up, but I was out of options. You really think that would work? I think it's worth a try, Ethan said. So that's what we did. We staged a breakup, made it public on social media. I even told Amber about it, swearing her to secrecy about the fact that it wasn't real. Tyler bought it immediately. He reached out to me a few days later, all fake sympathy and concern. Hey, I heard about you and Ethan. I'm sorry things didn't work out. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but I played along. Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be, I said. Well, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here, Tyler said. The audacity. The absolute audacity. But I stayed calm. Thanks, Tyler. For a few weeks, Tyler seemed satisfied. He stopped posting about me, stopped showing up at random places. Ethan's business started to recover as word spread that we'd broken up. Ethan and I kept seeing each other in secret. It was actually kind of exciting at first, sneaking around. But it also sucked, not being able to be public about our relationship. Then something unexpected happened. Ethan came to my apartment one night looking shaken. What's wrong? I asked. Tyler contacted me, he said. My blood ran cold. What? Why? He wants to buy again. Said he heard we broke up and figured there was no conflict of interest anymore. I felt sick. You're not going to sell to him, are you? No, Ethan said. But that's not the thing that's bothering me. What is it? Ethan sat down. When he reached out, he was different, more aggressive. He said something weird. He said he was glad we broke up because now he could tell me the truth about you. The truth? Yeah. He said he'd been holding back before because he didn't want to seem like he was just trying to sabotage the relationship. But now that we were done, he wanted to help me by telling me what you're really like. What did he say? Ethan looked at me. He said you're dangerous. That when you were together, you manipulated him, controlled him. That you threatened him when he tried to leave. He said you made his life miserable and that he's only been trying to protect people from you. I felt tears prick my eyes. None of that is true. I know, Ethan said. But Madison, he believes it. He really genuinely believes his own lies. And that makes him way more dangerous than I thought. We sat in silence for a moment. There's more, Ethan said. He told me he has proof that he's been documenting everything you've done for years. He said if I ever wanted to see it, he'd show me. Proof of what? I haven't done anything. I know. But he's clearly built some kind of case against you in his mind. And I think we need to find out what it is. That's when Ethan suggested something risky. Something that made my stomach turn. I'm going to tell him I want to see the proof, Ethan said. I'll tell him I'm interested. That I'm starting to have doubts about you. That maybe we got back together briefly and I need to know the truth. No, I said immediately. That's too dangerous. What if he figures out we're still together? He won't, Ethan said. I'll be careful. But we need to know what we're dealing with. If he has some kind of documentation, some kind of fake evidence, we need to see it so we can figure out how to fight back. I didn't like it. But Ethan was right. We needed to know what Tyler had. So Ethan reached out to Tyler, told him he was reconsidering things with me, that he needed to see this proof Tyler kept talking about. Tyler jumped at the opportunity, set up a meeting at his apartment for the following week. Ethan went to that meeting. I waited at my apartment, anxious and terrified, until he got back. When Ethan finally walked through my door, he looked disturbed. What happened? I asked. Ethan sat down heavily on my couch. Madison, he's completely delusional. What do you mean? He has this entire room, like a whole room dedicated to you. Photos of you. Screenshots of your social media posts from the past 3 years. Lists of places you go regularly. Receipts from places you've shopped. He's been following you, documenting your life. I felt cold all over. He has a room? Yeah, and he has this binder. This huge binder full of evidence about how terrible you are. Except none of it is evidence of anything. It's just random stuff. A photo of you looking upset in a coffee shop with a caption about how you're clearly unstable. A screenshot of a text message where you told him you needed space, which he claims is proof you were threatening him. It's all twisted. All taken completely out of context. Oh my God, I whispered. He walked me through the whole thing, Ethan continued, explained his case against you, how you've been stalking him for years, how you've been trying to ruin his life. Madison, he has it completely backwards. Everything he's accusing you of is what he's been doing to you. I couldn't speak, couldn't process what Ethan was telling me. We need to go to the authorities, Ethan said. This isn't just obsession anymore. This is stalking. This is harassment. He has an entire room dedicated to tracking your life. Did you take pictures? I asked. Yeah, Ethan said. I pretended to use the bathroom and snapped photos of everything I could. The room, the binder, all of it. He showed me his phone. The photos made me want to throw up. Tyler's apartment wall was covered with pictures of me. Some I'd posted online. Some I hadn't. Some that looked like they'd been taken from a distance without my knowledge. We went to the authorities the next day, filed a report, showed them the photos, explained the entire situation. The officer who took our statement looked grim. This is definitely concerning. We're going to look into it. But I wasn't hopeful. Tyler was clever. He'd been careful not to break any laws, or at least not any laws he could easily be prosecuted for. Days passed. Then a week. I didn't hear anything from the authorities. Didn't hear anything from Tyler either, which was almost more unsettling. Then, 2 weeks after Ethan's visit to Tyler's apartment, I got a call from an unknown number. It was a detective. She wanted to meet with me about Tyler. I went to the station immediately. The detective, a woman named Detective Rodriguez, sat me down in an interview room. Ms. Reynolds, she said, we've been investigating Tyler Bennett following your report, and we've uncovered some concerning things. Like what? I asked. Mr. Bennett has been under investigation for something unrelated to you. We can't share all the details, but your report helped us connect some dots. We've been building a case against him for harassment and stalking, not just of you, but of several other individuals. My eyes widened. Other people? Yes, you're not his only target. There are at least 3 other women who've filed reports about similar behavior. Ex-girlfriends who he's been systematically harassing for years years. I felt a mix of horror and relief. Horror that other women had gone through what I'd gone through. Relief that I wasn't alone. That I wasn't crazy. What happens now? I asked. We're obtaining a warrant to search his apartment. Given what you and Mr. Sullivan provided, along with the other evidence we've gathered, we have enough for an arrest warrant as well. I couldn't believe it. After 3 years of Tyler getting away with everything, the authorities were finally taking action. There's one more thing, Detective Rodriguez said. We need you to be careful. When Mr. Bennett finds out about the investigation, he may escalate. We're going to move quickly, but until he's in custody, you should take precautions. She gave me some safety guidelines. Stay in public places. Let friends know where I was. Consider staying with someone for a few days. I went straight to Ethan's apartment. Told him everything. Finally, Ethan said. Finally, someone's holding him accountable. That night, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. Like maybe, just maybe, this nightmare was actually ending. The next morning, Detective Rodriguez called me again. We've arrested Tyler Bennett, she said. He's in custody. I started crying. I couldn't help it. 3 years of fear and anxiety and manipulation, and it was finally over. What did you find? I asked. In his apartment? A lot, Detective Rodriguez said. Enough to charge him with multiple counts of stalking and harassment. The room you described was even worse than your photos showed. He had tracking software on his computer. He'd been monitoring your location, your social media, everything. He'd been doing the same to the other victims. How is that even possible? I asked. I never gave him access to any of my accounts. He's good with technology, she said. We're still figuring out exactly how he did it, but he found ways to access information he shouldn't have had access to. Over the next few weeks, the case against Tyler built. The other women came forward. Their stories were eerily similar to mine. Tyler had dated them, broken up badly, then spent years sabotaging their lives. One woman, Jessica, had lost a job because Tyler had contacted her employer with false accusations. Another woman, Natalie, had moved to a different state to get away from him, but he'd found her there too. We all gave statements. We all provided evidence. Tyler's lawyer tried to paint him as a concerned ex-boyfriend who'd been falsely accused. But the evidence was overwhelming. The room, the tracking software, the documented harassment of multiple women over several years. The trial took months. I had to testify, had to sit in a courtroom and recount everything Tyler had put me through. It was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, but when the jury came back with a guilty verdict, it was worth it. Tyler was sentenced to 3 years in prison for stalking and harassment. He was also ordered to stay away from all of his victims permanently. No contact, no social media, nothing. When the judge read the sentence, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. I was finally free. Ethan and I went public with our relationship after the trial. It felt amazing to not have to hide anymore, to be able to post photos together, to go places without looking over my shoulder. My life started to feel normal again. I got a promotion at work. Ethan's business recovered, and then some. We moved in together after about a year, but the best part was the relationships I built with the other women Tyler had tormented. Jessica, Natalie, and a woman named Melissa. We formed this unexpected support group. We'd meet for coffee sometimes, talk about our experiences, help each other heal. It's been 2 years since Tyler's sentencing. He's still in prison. He'll be out in about a year, but by then, I'll be long gone from this city. Ethan got an opportunity to expand his legitimate business, the party planning part, to another state. We're moving next month. I'm not running away this time. I'm moving forward, starting fresh somewhere new. Somewhere Tyler has never been. Somewhere I can just be Madison, not Tyler's victim. Looking back, I sometimes can't believe how close I came to letting Tyler destroy my life completely. How close I came to giving up on relationships altogether. If I hadn't met Ethan that night at the concert, I don't know where I'd be. Still alone, probably. Still scared. Still letting Tyler's shadow hang over everything I did. But I did meet Ethan, and Ethan refused to let Tyler win. He stood up to him in a way no one else had. He believed me when others had doubted. The irony isn't lost on me, that the person who finally helped me break free from Tyler was Tyler's own dealer. That Tyler's own actions, his own need to control and manipulate, led him to introduce me to the one person who would help bring him down. Amber calls it poetic justice. I call it lucky. Either way, I'm grateful. Sometimes people ask me if I'm afraid of what will happen when Tyler gets out of prison. If I worry he'll come after me again. Honestly, a little. There's always that fear in the back of my mind, but I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. I'm not alone anymore. I have Ethan. I have friends who know the truth. I have a support system. And more importantly, Tyler's on record now. If he tries anything at all, he'll go right back to prison. The authorities are watching him. His probation officer will be watching him. Everyone will be watching him. He doesn't have power over me anymore. Last week, I got a message from Natalie. She's engaged now. Getting married next spring. She invited all of us, the women from Tyler's past, to her wedding. I want you all there, she wrote, because you're the only ones who truly understand what it took for me to get here, to be happy, to trust someone enough to marry them. I'm going to that wedding. We all are. And I'm going to dance and celebrate and not think about Tyler for a single second because he's taken enough of my time, enough of my energy, enough of my life. I'm done giving him anything. And you know what the best part is? A few months ago, I ran into Marcus, my second boyfriend after Tyler, the one who broke up with me because of Tyler's lies. We got coffee, caught up. I told him what had happened, about the trial, about everything. He apologized. Said he wished he'd listened to me back then, that he'd believed Tyler's lies when he should have trusted his gut about me. For what it's worth, Marcus said, I knew pretty quickly after we broke up that I'd made a mistake, that Tyler was full of it. But by then, I'd already screwed everything up. It was nice to hear. Nice to know that I wasn't crazy, that the guys Tyler had gotten to had eventually seen through him. But I'm with Ethan now, and I wouldn't change that for anything. Sometimes I think about what my life would look like if Tyler hadn't been caught. If I'd just given up on dating entirely. If I'd let him win, it's a dark thought, one I try not to dwell on. But then I look at where I am now, at the apartment I share with Ethan, at the life we're building.